When pipeline quality starts weakening, many businesses respond the same way. They try to add more leads, more outreach, more traffic, more top-of-funnel activity, more names entering the system. From the outside, that feels logical. If future revenue looks softer, the instinct is to increase input. But more leads do not automatically repair a weak pipeline. In many cases, they make the weakness more expensive. That is the real problem. Because if conversion is already weak, if velocity is already slow, if confidence is already inflated, or if bottlenecks are already reducing flow, then adding more leads does not solve those conditions. It increases the amount of opportunity moving into a system that is already not handling opportunity well enough. That creates more pressure, not more health. The pipeline gets fuller, the team gets busier, the business sees more activity, so it becomes easy to assume that recovery is happening. But volume at the top does not fix weakness underneath. It only feeds it. A weak pipeline does not need more input first. It needs better function. Because once a system is already leaking value, slowing movement, or misreading confidence, more leads usually do not strengthen it. They simply create more material for the same weak operating logic to handle badly. That is why more leads should never be treated as the default answer to pipeline weakness. Sometimes the real issue is not what is entering the system. It is what the system is failing to do with what is already there.
What makes this mistake dangerous is that more leads create the appearance of a stronger pipeline before they create the reality of one. The business sees new names, new activity, new conversations, new movement at the top. That creates relief. It feels like future revenue must now be improving. But if the pipeline underneath is not converting well enough, that relief is misleading. Because input alone does not create pipeline health. A system can receive more opportunity and still fail to produce better progression, better timing, or better outcomes. That is where weak pipelines become more expensive. More leads now have to be reviewed. More opportunities have to be followed up. More weak cases stay visible. More pressure enters a system that still has the same bottlenecks, the same slow flow, and the same confidence problems it already had before. This is why lead volume can become a distraction. It makes the business feel active without forcing it to fix what is actually weakening performance. A stronger response asks a harder question. Not how do we add more opportunity, but what is the pipeline failing to convert, move, or handle well enough already? That question changes the logic completely. Because if the system is already weak, feeding it more input does not create health. It only increases the amount of value the business can now mishandle at scale.
This is why more leads should never be confused with more effective pipeline support. A business can increase input and still weaken output. That is the key distinction. If opportunities are entering the system faster than the system can qualify them, move them, or convert them, the pipeline does not become healthier. It becomes more crowded. And crowded is not the same as strong. A crowded pipeline can still be slow. It can still be noisy. It can still carry too many weak opportunities for the team to interpret clearly. That creates dilution. Attention gets spread wider. Priority becomes softer. Follow-up quality becomes harder to maintain. Stronger opportunities now have to compete with a larger number of weaker ones for the same limited capacity. This is where more leads start making the system worse, not better, because the business is no longer solving the original weakness, it is increasing the cost of it. A better response starts with pipeline function. Can the system convert opportunity cleanly? Can it move opportunities fast enough? Can it protect confidence honestly? Can it keep weak cases from distorting reviews, priority, and forecasting? If the answer is no, then growth at the top is not the first fix. It is only additional load. That is why a weak pipeline should not be fed automatically. It should be strengthened first.
Otherwise, more leads do not create recovery. They simply create more visible opportunity inside a system that still cannot turn enough of that opportunity into healthy forward movement.
A stronger business does not ask only how to increase lead flow. It asks whether the pipeline is strong enough to deserve more lead flow first. That is the better sequence. Because a pipeline should not only receive opportunity, it should know how to sort it, weight it, move it, and reduce false confidence around it. If those functions are weak, extra lead volume does not create momentum. It creates backlog. Now the business has more names, more activity, more conversations, and more visible opportunity. But if the underlying system still struggles with clarity, priority, timing, or conversion, then the extra volume becomes another layer of pressure. That is why more leads can feel productive while still lowering pipeline quality. The team becomes busier, but not cleaner. The system becomes fuller, but not stronger. The business sees more input, but not enough better output. This is the real warning. More leads are only helpful when the pipeline underneath can turn added opportunity into healthy progression. If it cannot, the business is not solving weakness, it is scaling it. That is why lead generation should never be treated as the automatic cure for pipeline underperformance. Sometimes the most disciplined move is not to push more in. It is to improve what happens after opportunity enters, so that the next wave of leads does not simply increase the cost of the same structural weakness. This is also why weak pipelines often create the wrong kind of urgency. The business feels pressure, so it looks upstream. More outreach, more campaigns, more lead generation, more input. That reaction is understandable. But if the real weakness is happening inside the pipeline, upstream urgency becomes a poor substitute for downstream discipline. Now the business is trying to solve a structural problem with additional volume. That usually makes timing worse, because more leads do not only create more opportunity, they create more decisions, more follow-up paths, more cases to review, more chances for weak prioritization to spread through the system. If the pipeline is already slow, too soft in confidence, or too weak in conversion, that extra load does not repair the weakness, it amplifies it. This is why more leads should be judged not by whether they increase activity, but by whether the pipeline can turn them into better flow. That is the real standard. A strong pipeline can benefit from more input. A weak pipeline usually turns more input into more noise. And once that happens, the business is no longer increasing opportunity. It is increasing the amount of value that can now be delayed, misread, or wasted inside the same weak system. The real question is not whether more leads can help. The real question is what kind of system they are entering. If the pipeline is healthy, more leads can create more opportunity. If the pipeline is weak, more leads usually create more strain. That is the difference many businesses miss. They measure the increase in input, but not the increase in pressure placed on a system that may already be too slow, too noisy, or too weak in conversion to carry that added volume well. This is why a weak pipeline should be treated as a structural issue first. Before asking for more leads, the business should ask, are we moving opportunity well enough? Are we weighting confidence honestly enough? Are we converting stages cleanly enough? Are we protecting stronger opportunities from being diluted by weaker ones? If the answer is no, then more leads are not a real fix. They are additional load. And additional load inside a weak system rarely creates better revenue support. It usually creates more activity, more pressure, and more visible work without enough healthier movement underneath. That is why more leads will not fix a weak pipeline. A better pipeline can make more leads valuable, but more leads cannot make a weak pipeline strong on their own.